topic that I was asked to talk about today is what God wants to grow in your life, and it's faithfulness. And in Galatians 5:22, Paul, writing to the churches of Galatia with the fruits of the Spirit, and one of them was faithfulness. Then Jesus said also in Matthew 25:23, "Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful with a few things. I will put you in charge of many things. Come and share in your master's happiness." I remember a long time ago a man in Springfield who was faithful, and he prayed for a church on the north side. He lived on the north side and was going to Parkview Christian Church on the south side. And he prayed for many years, and he was faithful in that prayer. And in the meantime, 2 churches were started from Parkview on the south side. Then one Sunday I was preaching at Parkview. Don G was gone, and I filled in for him. And after the service, Wallace Day came up and wanted to know if I would be interested in starting preaching at a church on the north side if we started it. And I told him I would. And I realized that he had a lot more faith than I thought if he asked me to be the preacher. So on March 9th, 1970, 17 people attended Northside Christian Church in a building that wasn't much bigger than some of our classrooms that we have here at this building. And there is a church on the north side of Springfield today because of a faithful and praying man, Wallace Day. And this is what God wants for his people. God wants his people to be faithful to him. God wants his people to have faith in him. In Hebrews, the 11th chapter, we read of men and women who were faithful to God, who followed God, who done what God wanted them to do. And we see that by the faith, they pleased God, and God was faithful to them. We see Abraham and Noah and Moses and others who were faithful to God, and they were in the book of Hebrews, the 11th chapter, because of their faith. Faith sometimes is hard because God is faithful to us in the valleys and on the mountains. He wants us to be faithful to him when things are going good and when things are going bad. I remember in 1993, my wife, we were living in Joplin, had a heart attack, and it was just devastating. We didn't know what we were going to do. And in a 3 days later, she had a 4 bypass surgery. But after the heart attack, I went out to the car to get something to eat. And I turned on the radio station there in Webb City, and it was KKLL, a Christian radio station. And the song that they were playing was "It Is Well With My Soul." And right then, I knew that my faithful God just wanted me to know that he was there with me, and just be faithful and just depend upon him that he would see me through. And that's what God wants from us in good times and in bad times. As we said in Galatians 5:23, Paul mentions the fruit of the Spirit, faithfulness. In Matthew 5:23, Jesus promised a reward for those who were faithful to him. No matter whether we're up on the mountain or down in the valley, God never promised that things would go well in our lives all the time, that we wouldn't have problems. But God did promise us one thing, that he would be with us and be with us until we die. And that's why we need to be faithful to him, is because he is strong and faithful to us. And I am thankful for the congregation, the staff that we have here. I'm thankful for the leadership that we have in their vision and their faithfulness to God to see us moving into a building program. And I think that we as a congregation, need to be on that board with them and be faithful to knowing that this is God's will, that we have this new building program if we want to go, because the building program contains everything for babies all the way to senior citizens in this program. And I know that as we move forward, that we need to be people of faith and be pleasing to God in our movement.